You may remember me from my television shows in the 1980s and 90s, and now I host two regularly live-streamed virtual magic shows. One is a showcase for some of the greatest magicians in the world, and the other is a talk show featuring some of the most inspiring conjurers of our times. Welcome now to Magical People. And welcome back, everybody, to our Magical People Live episode. We are so pleased, excited, and honored to welcome the great Edward L. Underwood. Everybody, let's put our hands together. Let's give Edward a little bit of love. Yay. Uh, we made it. We made it, Ed. We're here.
We did. We are cyber here.
And there's no expiry date. Unlike real life, we can live on forever as long as people keep playing this ad nauseum. I mean, ad infinitum. Yes, yes. We're
True.
honored to have Ed because he is a third, along with, he's a third, I said a third of the great team, along with his wife, Karen and Kenton Nepper. They call themselves the Cinemagicians, and we're going to have what Ed calls, because I refuse to say sizzle, it sounds like meat on a grill, the sizzle reel. I call it a promo reel, not quite as exciting, but nonetheless, it's embedded in my gray matter. Ed, I was looking at these now I've done it. Is it a sizzle reel
Well,
or is it?
listen, I like sizzle reel, and here's how you remember it. Anytime you, as an entertainer, get up in the morning, please remember bacon sounds like applause when you
Oh, it
first put it in the
does.
pan.
And
That's
it
it.
smells like heaven,
It
doesn't it?
does. It does.
Even this Jewish man can agree with that. Absolutely. So I was looking at your sizzle reels. You gave me two. I've edited them together. I hope that's not a problem because when we play it, you may say to yourself, "Oh, why did he do that?" But nonetheless, I did that. And we're going to play Kenton's a little bit later as well. I
Okay.
love his cosmic music. Everybody, I believe, who's listened to Kenton loves his stuff as well. I looked at your sizzle reel and it got me remotivated and excited and inspired. I know you're surprised at that, but you really shouldn't be because the
Well,
visuals, for one thing, I'm not just talking from a technical perspective, I'm talking about content and really got me going, really inspired
yeah.
me. And um, I can't say enough about it. But let's
Hey,
talk a little bit before I do show the video because I actually brought in this topic into my other show, the Friday night Wizard Emporium, and I posed a similar kind of question along those themes. Of course, saying, and Ed Underwood is going to be speaking about this. We'll be speaking about this. I did make sure I promoted that. But back in the day, and this could have just been in Canada or in the Midwest Canada or whatever. I had a number of agents, and there were magicians and there were variety entertainers. And back then, it was you were either a magician, but you weren't a variety entertainer slash juggler, singer, dancer, etc. And if you were, you wouldn't get booked as much.
right.
So you had to kind of specialize. Maybe you were a caricature artist like myself as well. Well, you were just a caricature artist. You couldn't dare do magic in between drawing people. So I believe we're going to chat a little bit about that and you guys entering into the performance art market versus the general entertainment market. That's why that got me thinking about all of that. So I'd like to play your sizzle reels, which are permanently glued together. They sure are. And then we can chat a little or a lot about them. So let's check these out because they're really cool.
Ancient and mysterious rituals shaped the performance of magic throughout the Victorian era, when magic was at its height of popularity until today. We will be bringing you some of this classic magic live on stage.
And some of those stage magicians become the pioneering filmmakers, and they bring their knowledge of magic to cinema, creating what we now know as special effects. We'll show you amazing rare film clips that demonstrate how magic leaped from the stage to the screen.
And we perform magic and play innovative and original music to make these early films come alive.
The Cinemagicians Real Magic Show invites you to discover how magicians sparked the imagination of the first filmmakers. You'll experience a fusion of magic and movies and music like you've never seen before. And you'll be spellbound by the true story of how those magicians and those filmmakers put what we now know as the magic in the movies, special effects, into film. The Real Magic Show.
Harry Potter?
Like Harry Potter.
I like Harry Potter.
Wow! Wow! Go on.
And they went out to make films. Here's one of their big summer blockbusters. It's called Workers Leaving a Factory. There's the workers. They're leaving the factory.
Welcome to a very special part of our show. We are going to show you the anatomy of a magic trick. That's right, a behind-the-scenes look at the sidearm snookery, jiggery pokery, and flim-flam magicians use to fool you. The Cinemagicians are going to demonstrate the trick whilst I explain the secret and forbidden modus operandi of said magic trick.
And there we go. Wow. Wow, that's all I have to say, Ed. I want to chat briefly about some of the contents, and then we'll talk about promotions and how they can reach you and everybody. That in one of my incarnations, one of my old internet shows, actually, I did a lot of research and came across early black and white, what we might say were magic on not talkies, on the silent films.
Right.
And I recognize some of that stuff. The woman turning into a skeleton. I don't know if that was the same movie. There was one where a magician turns into a large bat as well. So I'm very familiar with that, and I think it's just genius that you've taken that and incorporated it into the now world, so to speak. I truly am, and I noticed your wife. I'm assuming that's Karen. She was speaking to, I think, Mickey Rooney to the
Yes.
screen, and Mickey Rooney is responding back. Again, genius. It harkens back to me seeing David Copperfield, and I don't know if that was your inspiration or not, and he had Orson Welles on the screen talking to him, and they're interacting. So I never forgot that. Fast forward to recently, and I'm seeing this, and it's like, what a genius you guys are to bring, we'll say the old time black and white magic into the real life or stage, if you will. What was your inspiration for doing that, Ed?
Well, in the end, I mean, Karen and I and Kenton, of course, have we have spent a lifetime being entertainers around the edges of magic. I mean, I've been a writer and all this other stuff too, but that's the thread that runs through all of our lives. We also all very much love playing and hearing music, kind of cinematic music and instrumental music. Kenton, of course, is marvelous on his piano stuff. Karen is a great composer. I can tell her anything. Like, give me a 3-minute piece that sounds like something from Phantom of the Opera Act Two, and there it is. So we kind of have all those different abilities, and we love magic. And I've always been a very big student of film. So at a certain point, we started back in 2018, and we called it the Sonic Cinema Experience. And what we were going to do is play original compositions of music with silent films, which is something that's been done before. There are groups that go with the Invincible Czars, by the way. If you don't know who the Invincible Czars are, check it out. They're amazing. We get these silent films, and the ones we would choose had some connection to magic. Like the first one we did, the Chandler Museum, which was a brand new multi-million-dollar place that had just opened here outside of Phoenix. We did a movie called a heavily edited version of the movie West of Zanzibar, which was a Lon Chaney, Lionel Barrymore thing about a stage magician who kind of loses his mind and goes on a vengeance kick. And it's got, magic acts, and it was Todd Browning directed that. So we did that for our first live show, and people loved it. And we had a Q&A after it was over, and the Q&A went on for 45 minutes.
Wow.
And we looked at each other and said, maybe people have more interest in this than we would think, because we just thought it was us being nerds, And they asked all kinds of questions like, I think we got something here. So what happened is, because of our background with magic, we refined it a bit more. And we went to some arts conferences and got some feedback, and we refined it a little bit more. And we refined it a little bit more. And now it's the Cinemagicians Reel Magic Show, REEL, like movie reel. And it's really a blend of the music, the magic, and the movies. And the point is, and this is absolutely true, you know, from seeing those films, some of those films you mentioned me were made by Georges Méliès, one of the great
Yes.
geniuses of cinema. He's called the father of special effects. He was a stage magician. He owned the
Yes.
Robert Houdin Theater
Yes.
before he started making movies. So a lot of those were his stage illusions adapted to camera tricks. And so the further we went into this history, the more we were just like, wow, it's all there. So we found these rare clips, we put that together, and then we started performing original routines to underscore these concepts that run through films. Like we have a clip of Alfred Hitchcock explaining what the MacGuffin is. And we even have so it's easy to remember, we demonstrate the MacGuffin moving within the plot of a movie by using an egg MacGuffin. And everybody loves an egg MacGuffin, right?
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
so we have that in the box. It's like, well, it's over here, but then the plot moves and it shifts over here. Now you can find it there, but it's gone. And we have some classic magic that we've actually staged like it's part of films. So in a sense, in the audience, you're in a film while we show you film history, while we kind of weave all of that together. And that clearly put us in the mode of having gone from doing a magic act into having a theatrical show. And that is where we have gone and where our time and effort has gone. And that's, anything I can share with you about, marketing to the performing arts industry as opposed to, the Mark Shelton and I used to call them geranium gigs, right? It's where you're hired to like stand in the corner like a plant. Here, be amusing,
Exactly.
and you would do things. Those are great. I've done a million of those. But there's a difference in that definition of an act and then taking a show into the performing arts. And we all found the difference to be just exactly what we were ready to sink our teeth into.
So exciting. I think the key word here, amongst others, is show. You're
Yes.
giving the audience a show, an immersive show, if I may use that word, where they're drawn into like you say, a stage show, and whatever's going on beside that, which is the cinema. And I love the fact that one can trace, if I may go there as well, I'm going to say modern history. 1800s to me is modern history as
Right.
opposed to Egyptian times and all that. Even though a lot of 1800s to early 20th century magic involved stuff, Egyptology and other things from the Far East and the not so Far East as well. So
Right.
that I find that so exciting. It's exciting. It's educational. I wonder if anybody out there knows the name Todd Browning. When you said that, my ears perked up. It's like one of the producers, well, he produced Dracula, the original 1931 one with Bela, one of my
Right.
favorite actors, and a number of other movies. I think he did Freaks too. I'm
He
not
did.
sure.
That was his pet project.
Yeah.
Yes.
And which I think was banned or had issues with, well, I don't know if we should go into that or not, but it
Oh yeah.
offended a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of
It was
people.
banned. It was kind of the end of his career. Yeah. Yeah, it's a brilliant piece, but this was kind of one of his life desires. He actually started out, Todd did, as a magic assistant. And then he was like the young boy who would be buried alive in a sideshow stunt. So he grew
Yes.
up around this magic and sideshow stuff. So when he started to make movies, even the silent days, he just had this penchant for combining those elements and these personalities he knew from the magic and sideshow world. And he began working a lot with Lon Chaney Sr., who was a real
Yes.
magician of the movies. He could
What
change
a
makeup.
genius. Oh,
Yes,
and I don't want to compare him to his son, but I often do. And it's like Senior created his own makeup. He
yes,
almost contorted his face and made
yes,
special parts and things
right.
to fit to fit the part, the role, if you will. Whereas his son is best known for the werewolf or Wolfman, if you will, and other roles. But his dad would almost metamorphosize,
Yes.
if you will. And I think most of us have seen his makeup case, which was genius as well, and had all these cool things. So Todd Browning, it wasn't such a big stretch for him to go from where he was live to producing cinema where it does have a feel of magic. I
Yeah.
often think, even though Bela is supposedly a vampire, one of the undead, he looks like a magician, doesn't he? He looks like a
Yes.
classic magician.
Yes.
Nowadays, the vampire is a vicious animal that we won't go on about that.
Or sparkly.
So,
And fun fact, that clip in the reel you showed of the beheading, that's
yes.
from a Todd Browning film called The Show. And there's a broom suspension, Spydora, the girl, is all of that's in that movie because he's at the
Wow.
sideshow. And that was
Wow.
kind of the thing. So what they did there was, of course, back in the day, that was a very popular act to do, and they nicknamed it Chopping the Baptist because every theater troupe did it in one way or another. And they'd be going, oh, it's a church crowd, chopping the Baptist, and they'd all get in places. But my favorite Todd Browning, Lon Chaney Sr. was a great magician as well. And they would collaborate on these things with these characters they would create. And a film called The Unknown, you can go look that up. The MacGuffin in that film was born out of a joke between Todd and Lon about a certain magician something. And that's all I'm going to say. But if you watch that movie, you'll be like, any two guys at Magic Club could have come up with that idea. So
I love it. I love it. We're going to switch gears a little bit, yet not, because a good chunk of your show, of the Cinemagicians, is the music
yeah.
and our beloved Kenton. So I'm going to now share the Kenton Nepper Sizzler reel. I have a hard time saying that. Promo reel, if you will. And it's Kenton Cosmosis music. So let's check this out.
As a child, I wanted to be an astronaut. I changed my mind after learning the training made you really sick. Then I discovered the entire cosmos was hidden in the keys of the piano. And that is when I found my true mission on Earth. I've spent a lifetime compiling the inner secrets of music, and I can't wait to share them all with you.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love the blending, if you will, of his cosmic knowledge, his esoteria, if you will, and the overlap of his music and the blending of your show. It's a real, how do I put this fairly accurately, a genuine blending of everyone's gifts and talents. This Cinemagician project, it's so cool. How did you get to know Kenton? How did you guys all hook up and then get yourself excited about this project? Or were you already excited on various levels about the subject matter and that somehow brought you guys together? How did that happen?
Well, I of course knew Kenton for many years from the Magic and Mentalism, and I got many things from him. I had a running standing gig in my old home state called the Ghost Hours Show, a title that Eddie Garland graciously gifted me one day, and I used a lot of Kenton material. So I had a lot of that. So we knew each other that way. And then I actually was attempting to make a film, and I wanted to cast him in the film. Now, since it didn't happen, I'm not going to go into who he was going to be, but let's just say it would have been really good. Anyway, it could still happen, but it didn't happen then. So that we got to know each other a little better, talking about the film, and then he was doing music, and at that point was interested in maybe having a band. And of course, Karen and I were in Branson doing music shows and stuff like that. So I said, well, we could do that. So we kind of unofficially formed a band, and then we left Branson, Missouri, after 5 years of doing shows, including one 50 Stories Underground, and we came to Phoenix. When we got to Phoenix, we started working on some things, and eventually we came back to that sonic cinema thing, playing music for these silent movies that had a magic emphasis. And Kenton has always wanted to do a solo piano show. And from our evolving Cinemagicians into the art network and the criteria of that, then I think really he evolved and kind of went to the next level as far as the presentation of that show. And you can see from the clip, it's like, okay, so if you're a venue programming guy, you're thinking, I want to book some shows. Kenton's show is not like the piano show. It is about the piano, but it's about so many other things. And that's why we produced his video. He wears all these crazy costumes. He does all these nutty things. There's unexpected, bizarre, and amazing things all through the story of his life, his understanding of things, and how it translates musically to what he's sharing to you. In fact, at the end of the show, spoilers, he intuitively plays the people in that room.
Wow.
It's very hard for me to explain how he does this, but it's amazing. So it's that kind of thing. And part of our challenge was to make collateral marketing material that helps redefine that from, is this a piano show?
Exactly.
And so that was one of our big challenges. And we again went back to what's the criteria to making things stand out in the performing arts, as opposed to being the guy who plays the piano in the corner, right? How to be the feature, not the side dish.
Exactly. So really, during our little talk this day, I think it's plainly clear, at least it is to me, it's probably clear to everyone out there, where you're coming from, performance arts market. That's truly, that it doesn't even do the show justice. Performance arts market versus general entertainment market. General entertainment market, which is okay, versus performance arts market.
Well, that's us. That doesn't work for
Yes,
everybody, but that's where we
yes.
are right now with this.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's say folks, and they really should, want to book you guys. First, the Cinemagicians. Is there a website? Is there some kind of contact info? Then we'll speak of Kenton.
Yes, cinemagicians.com. And you will find the contact info for me right there. And both shows are listed there. In fact, one of our projects in the coming year, we're offering the theaters and venues a double feature. So one of the things they deal with when I bring people in, I fly you in or whatever the expense is on that, it's always about how can I maximize that. So
Yes.
we so believe in the message of both shows and that people need to see it. We're offering them a double feature. And it can either be a matinee and then an evening show, or 2 nights in a row. So you can get the info for both shows right there. Although Kenton does have a site just for that, which is kentoncosmicmusic.com.
Very appropriate. I think that's a perfect website address as well for him. It kind of, in a way, in a very small way, summarizes his music. Some of our people in our audience today and some of the other performers actually use Kenton's music as part of their performances as well. It adds so much and it kind of blends with everything. I'm so grateful, Edward L. Underwood, that you came to visit us. It's always too brief. I'm going to look forward to seeing, I believe it's you and your wife, Karen, next month, January,
Yes.
on my Friday night show, the Wizard Emporium. So we'll probably chat a little bit more about all of that as well. It's always a pleasure. You tend to be, and I describe another magician thusly, madcap. And that's a good thing. You're the one of the madcap. Ah, there's the cap, or is it a hat? It's all illusion, I think.
This
Wow.
this is actually a trilby hat, which is the type
Yes.
Frank Sinatra used, because as you may have saw in that little clip there, I do a brief thing with Sinatra with the cigarettes and a whiskey glass.
Yes.
So, but
I
there's
love
the
it.
hat for you, a trilby right there.
Beautiful. I'm a somewhat of an expert on hats. I have a dozen of them, and they're each different. So when you said that, I thought, no, wait, it is. Thank you so much once again, Ed. We so appreciate you. We love you, in fact, and I hope you'll come back real soon.
Absolutely, sir. Anytime, the pleasure is all mine. And thank you all for watching. And we'll do it again sometime.
You betcha. I want to thank everyone out there as well for joining us this day. It's always a pleasure, and I'm so thankful that we have that opportunity to give all of you as well. Be well. We'll see you next time on Magical People Live.